Hello, I'm Kelvin Guest of Guest Wines, and today we are going to taste white wine. Now, as you may be or maybe not aware, wine comes in various colours, generally white, orange, pink, and red. And today we're going to look at white wine. The white wine is made from, well, essentially it's made from white grape varieties, but it can also be made from red grapes as well. And we'll come on to that bit in how to taste red wine in another video. But today we'll look at white wine in itself and how to taste white wine. Now, white wine, as I said, it's mainly made from white grapes. And the process to get the nice, lovely colour that we have here is that the grapes are picked when they're nice and ripe and fresh. And then when they're taken to the winery, the grapes are then pressed and the juice that runs from that is taken away and popped into barrels or tanks, and it's made into this lovely wine. Some of the wines may have oak, some may not. It depends on the style, the region, the grape variety, etc., etc., etc. But today we're just going to focus on the wine in the glass. Now, in a previous video, we looked at how to taste wine in general. So those procedures still stand. It's the same thing, the systematic approach to tasting, where we go through a number of procedures, such as looking at the wine, smelling the wine, tasting the wine, and then just having a conclusion. And the best conclusion you can have is, do I like it? Yes, I want some more. Please pour me another glass. Okay. So with a white wine, we're looking at the colour, and the colour of white wines are ranged. They go in a spectrum. Generally speaking, the younger a white wine is, the lighter in colour it is, and the more it ages, then the colour will get deeper. However, most wines, white wines and all other wines included, generally, most of them are meant to be drunk young and not to be saved. But when the ones that do, they will change colour over time, and generally in white wine, the colour gets deeper. But here we've got a nice colour, this grape variety here. It's got a nice golden hue to it. I think it looks nice, it looks bright. It can almost start off with some of the colours. It can start off almost opaque looking, but then have absolutely full-on flavour. Some wines can be deeper and their aromas can be a lot more gentle. It all depends on the style and the grape variety. So now we've established the colour. It's bright, it's clear, there's nothing really floating here. Sometimes you'll get little bits of sediment sometimes floating in wine, and that's often when the wine hasn't been filtered. Some wines are deliberately cloudy. This one here that we have today isn't. It's just nice and bright. So we're looking at a nice, clean, bright, I'd say sort of a lemon-coloured white wine. So the next thing, we're going to give it a swirl, and this kind of releases the volatile molecules, so we can give it a sniff, and then we stick a nose in and just sniff. And like I said before, if you just smell wine and it smells nice and you like it, then fantastic. However, just to begin to break down, get into concentrate a little bit more on what you get in the glass, it's worth, I suppose, going through a little bit of a process in your mind. And what I always do is I look at the fruits first. So I think, well, fruits, could it be green fruits? And if it's green fruits, then the wine tends to come from somewhere a little bit cooler. And with green fruits, I'll probably be expecting the acidity to be a bit more fresher. And then I'm looking at maybe stone fruits, such as peaches, nectarines, apricots, etc. And therefore, I'd be expecting, if that's the kind of aromas, fruits that I would be getting in the wine, maybe it's come from something a little bit warmer, the wine might be a bit broader, and the acidity possibly a little bit softer. Then there's the tropical fruits, and tropical fruits would be things like mango, papaya, banana, etc. And again, I'd be looking at possibly a richer palate. It's going to be broader, fuller, riper, and again, the acidity softer. And again, I've been looking at the climate and thinking the climate is probably somewhere a little bit warmer. The other side of it is then looking if it's oaked or unoaked. And generally, when you've said oaking, you'll kind of taste things like vanilla, maybe a bit of coconut. It could be cloves, cinnamon, that kind of spicy element to it. Sometimes they can always smell a little bit woody themselves. There might be other elements in like floral, like some yellow flowers, white flowers, blossom, orange blossom. All these things can be experienced in wine and more. Sometimes it's very subtle, and other times it's very much there in your face. Now, when we're talking about these fruits, flowers, and other elements that can sometimes be found in a glass of wine, it's not that they've been added there. They're not flavors, or they haven't got the juice of say, like a nectarine, for example, and squeeze some juice into that bottle of wine to make it taste that way. It just happens to be how the molecules, the flavor and aroma molecules, are very, very similar to those molecules that are in those actual vegetables or those flowers, etc. That's kind of why you get these smells. So then what we're kind of doing is we're giving it a swirl and we're sniffing, and it's just gently just sniffing what you kind of can smell in there. And I'm always first looking, well, does it smell pleasant? Do I like it? Was it something I could possibly enjoy? And with this, I can. There's some nice fruits on here, plenty of ripeness coming through. So it's really nice. It's pleasant. So the next thing is I'm going to take a drink of it. So to drink this, it's like in the previous video, I'm going to hold it in my mouth for just a little while, and this enables me to detect more flavors, and this is possible because the wine is warming up in my mouth and releasing more of those molecules that are going up the back of my throat and into my nose. So here it goes. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going through the same detection as I would on the nose of looking at the fruits, flowers, oak, anything else that I can think of there. But also, as it's in my mouth, as we would call it, the palate, there's other things going on. Firstly, there's a textural side. And the textural side is to do with the weight of the wine. Some wines are very light, almost kind of, they can be zippy, watery, and then others fuller, more mouthfeel, more maybe even a little bit sticky, a little bit oiliness of a sensation about them. And then on that, we're looking at those senses that we find on the tongue, the sweetness, sourness, bitterness, etc., that we can find on there. So we're looking at things that are affecting those senses. You know, is there a sense of sweetness here? Is it that sourness, the bitterness, the acidity that runs down and makes your mouth water? And all wines has various levels of acidity. You tend to find more acidity in wines from cooler places, and it gets warmer, then the sugar rises and the acidity starts to fall the other way. And it's all about balance and getting that right and making the wine taste as it should do. And one of the main things, obviously, as it should do is enjoyable. Now, this wine here, I'm getting some nice acidity that runs down the sides of my mouth. It tickles across my tongue. It has got some weight to it. It feels quite weighty on the body. And there's also, I'd say, a little bit of oily kindness, stickiness. And this kind of goes nicely because it has got this particular wine here has got some ripe fruits in it. And it kind of helps to balance those fruits, but the acidity then just washes that. So it doesn't just leave my mouth just feeling sticky. There's no kind of drying sensation. There's no what's called tannins, which we'll come to more on orange and red wines. There's none of that dryness there. There's a pleasantness. The alcohol, the alcohol here more gives it body than actually taste. Sometimes you can actually taste alcohol in the wines and it hits the back of your throat, but this one, it just feels nicely integrated in there, and I'm just getting this like curvy, silky ball of lovely, inviting ripe fruits, and then it's kind of freshened by this lovely acidity that washes all the way to the back. And then on to the finish, it still continues. I can still taste those fruits, and maybe even like, I'm tasting something a bit floral, a little bit like violets or something like that is coming through. So that's the process of a white wine. And again, white wines, the main the main process for making the wine is to pick the grapes, and then you press the juice away from the skins, and the skins are generally discarded, and then it's the juice that then you are fermenting to make the wine from, and you get this lovely white color here. Like I said, that sometimes you can make a white wine from red grapes as well, because red grapes, most of them are a white inside. So if you then gently press them and don't have the skins with them, you can make white wine as well. But we'll talk more about that in how to taste a red wine. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you've got a nice glass of wine with you now. So we'll see you next time. Cheers.